Welcome to Uniquely Loved, a celebration of authenticity and divine inspiration. We are encouraged to be our own unique, authentic selves. Join me, Witch Niki, as we discuss spiritual gifts and skills we can develop and enhance, speak with amazing people using their skills in a variety of ways, and explore the different ways to connect to the wonders of the universe.
Do you remember ever being asked if you were better at visual learning, meaning that we have to see it, auditory learning, meaning we have to hear it, or physical learning, meaning that we need a hands on approach? I know I got asked that a lot in school growing up and during many of my military schoolings. They ask us these questions so they may find ways that are best suited to our style of learning. Doing some research, I found that there are even more different ways and styles. I want to take some time to go over them with you. Now, why is this important? Well, understanding how we think and how we best learn can go a long way in helping us to better understand ourselves. So many people will find different solutions to help kids or others learn in a manner that will resonate with them. And that is awesome. It helps with growth. However, most of us take our own needs for granted. We just keep doing what we've been doing because it's what we know, it's what we had to learn. The more we understand how we process information more effectively, the easier we can sort that information into ways that best fit our process. We can tailor the stimuli and information to our best methods of learning. This will help it make it easier for us to learn and grasp the concepts being presented to us. It will help us make changes with this new information that much easier as well. I'm hoping this will help others realize that there is no wrong way to think, no wrong way to process information or to learn. We are all different with unique strengths and skills, and there is strength in this diversity. Now, here are 7 ways of learning, uh, as discussed by psychologist Howard Gardner of Harvard. Now, number 1 is visual or spatial. People who fall into this category think in pictures and even 3D models. They see a scene or a picture in their mind, and then they have to put it into words. They are very aware of their environment. They tend to make wonderful artists, architects, engineers, and more. Then there's movement. People who think more bodily learn better when they are moving around. Whether they are dancing or doing patterns with their hands, they learn best by a hands on approach. Surgeons, dancers, actors, and more learn better with body language and movement being involved in their process. Then there's musical. There are people who feel music. I am one. The vibrations of the instruments or voice help them study, learn, and digest information. They love music, but can be sensitive to noises in their environment as well. Some may get overstimulated by loud noises that are out of harmony with the rest of the environment. Then there's interpersonal. This includes many extroverted people. People who learn best with interpersonal interactions value one on one instruction as well as classroom settings. Conferences and webinars where there is dialogue back and forth are also where they can thrive. And then there's intrapersonal. Now, this is where introverts thrive. Examining our own thoughts, subconscious, reading and researching on our own are all ways that we can incorporate information and formulate our concepts. And then there's linguistic. These people tend to think in words. They hear their thoughts as dialogue in their minds and have little trouble or minimal trouble putting those words on paper. They can have highly developed hearing or auditory skills and can pick up on little nuances that are usually missed by others. Logical and or mathematical is the final one. These thinkers love patterns and linear ways of seeing information. They are investigative and curious. They love to solve mysteries, big and small. There is usually a very clear progression from A to B for them. And most of us will fall into several of these categories. I know that I am more intrapersonal, but I do well with interpersonal when needed. I do have to recharge with some alone time after being around a lot of people. I love music and I think linguistically. I actually hear my voice in my head when I think, and not the voice y'all hear either. It's how I sound when I hear myself speak as I speak it. Even with my podcast and videos, I still find hearing my voice in recordings is kind of odd to me. I know many who feel the same way about their own voices, too. I also don't usually think in a linear fashion. I jump from one thing to the next because there is something similar in each of them to make my thinking connect those dots. I found a description on Facebook that summed this up, and I would like to read it to you. It goes, "My old man once said to me, 'Your thoughts are so random and unconnected. We were just talking about the carnival. How did you get started on wasps?' So I told him, 'Oh, they're not connected. We were talking about going to the carnival, and the carnival is on the same fairgrounds that they use for the rodeo. And one time at the rodeo, my brother spilled some Sprite on himself, and a bee went up his shirt and stung him. Now, bees die when they sting, but wasps don't. And I was wondering why. So I asked you.' And to that, he said, 'That makes no sense.'" So if you think about the associations that the author of that followed, it made perfect sense to them. Associations like that will typically include old memories or more current ones. All of them flow in a progression that makes sense to the person thinking this way. However, people who are more logically or who think more logically cannot fathom this way of thinking. And there are times when we can where we can do either or. My thought process goes the associative route very often. But there are instances where a more linear way of thinking gets me more on track in creating or finishing a project. Many of us shift in and out of these different ways of thinking depending on our circumstances and what is best in the moment. However, there are areas that we thrive. Now, how can we put this into practice? Understanding our strongest methods will help us modify any information given to us so we can fit it into ways that help us learn easier. So, if you're having a hard time processing a lecture that you're listening to, try tapping on your knees without making noise. If the movement helps you focus and accept the information being presented, where's the harm? Are you learning on your own and having a hard time focusing? Try putting on some background music. There are playlists designed to be ran in the background for people who need a little extra music in their lives. You can even break up the learning with some fun activities to help you redirect a little bit, much like recess in school. Just because we grow up doesn't mean we don't need the breaks anymore. Recess helped us process the information provided and allowed us to move and play so it didn't get overwhelming. And we still need that as adults. Are you having a hard time visualizing anything? No problem. Think it through. Describe it to yourself in detail as if you were seeing it. This helps your brain process all the information, and it can actually help build a picture using words in your mind. It may not be the same as seeing it on TV or in a drawing, but it is just as effective. Are you someone who loves to think in patterns and have a clear logical approach? If you are having trouble understanding someone who is more descriptive or associative, have some patience and see if you can connect the dots. It may be confusing to you, but there is a method there. If they have the patience to go over how it connects to them, it might make it a little more meaningful for you or make sense for you. Now, keep in mind, they don't have to explain anything either. And that patience goes both ways, as those who are more associative can have difficulty in following a purely logical path. I hope this gives some insight for you and your own methods of learning. Never be afraid to try new things or to take new approaches to old problems. Seeing things from a different perspective can be extremely enlightening.
Thank you for joining me today as we explore what makes us uniquely loved. Be sure to subscribe. More adventure awaits. For more articles and to work with me as your personal guide, go to www.techwitchlayer.com. Always remember, you are accepted. You are valid. You are loved.